Wars in the olden days were simple. You walk with your troops to a battlefield, you destroy the enemy, win the war, and write the history. But in the modern world, the dynamics have changed. Now, a militaristic war is accompanied by a narrative war. The one who wins the narrative war goes down as the winner in history, along with painting its counterpart red. But one mistake and you lose the narrative. Same is happening with Zelensky's Ukraine. Hi and welcome to TFI English, the national socio-political analysis arm of the TFI Media Group. I'm your host Tanya, and if you're watching us on Facebook, give our page a like, and if you're watching us on YouTube, like the video and subscribe to the channel. Coming back to the story, in this video, let's talk about Zelensky and his desperation. Let's begin. It has been more than 100 days since the Russia-Ukraine war broke out. So who is winning the war? Simply stating, we don't know. Will Russia be able to accomplish its mission, or will Ukraine survive this? We don't know this either. But one thing we know for sure is that Zelensky's desperation will make Ukraine lose its trusted ally, that is India. India advocated for peace and dialogue throughout the Russia-Ukraine war, but it has now come under criticism for continuing to buy oil from Moscow despite the sanction imposed by the West on Russia. In April, the foreign minister had already informed that India's monthly purchase of oil from Russia is probably less than what Europe buys in an afternoon. Despite this, it is India which is being criticized and not Europe. Now, Ukraine's foreign minister Dmytro Kuleba too has come out to put the blame on India rather than his own president Zelensky. Addressing a press conference, Mr. Kuleba cried foul, saying that Ukraine has been a reliable partner of India, but by purchasing crude oil from Russia, India is in effect buying Ukrainian blood. He also tried emotional tactics to bring India on its side, saying that I supported an evacuation of Indian students. We expected more practical support from India to Ukraine. So, dear Ukrainian foreign minister, hear me out. It is very cowardly of you to put the blame on a different nation that has the least involvement in Russia-Ukraine war. While you're busy cursing India for purchasing oil from Russia, which it needs in order to stabilize its economy, shouldn't you just take out few hours to introspect what actually led to this war that has ruined your country? Was it PM Modi or President Zelensky who should be actually blamed for whatever your nation is going through? Zelensky was seeking NATO membership, which was the issue cited by Russia as a reason for invading its pro-Western neighbor. Russia opposed the neighboring Ukraine joining NATO as it is viewed by Russia as a threat. Zelensky provoked Russia, and what you're facing is only the repercussion for his actions. Russia is a time-tested ally of India. We have started to forget the number of times it assisted India when the West was hell-bent on helping a terrorist nation like Pakistan against us. The Soviet nation had once vetoed the Kashmir issue in support of India. When the whole West had abandoned India in 1971, it was the Soviet nation that acted as a buffer against them. Despite this, India never openly supported Russia. It has always condemned the Bucha killings that took place during the war. India's stance was always neutral in the Russia-Ukraine war. On the contrary, during the beginning of the war, Indian students were beaten and thrashed by the Zelensky government. Ukrainian government has blacklisted 75 individuals from all over the world. The list includes various Indians too. P.S. Raghavan, the former head of India's National Security Council, has been blacklisted because he said that NATO is taking Ukraine's side. Similarly, Sam Pitroda's name is also on the list because he said that both countries should resolve the conflict on diplomatic table. Since the beginning, Ukraine has been asking for sympathy from the global community. By sympathy, the Ukrainian means billions and billions of dollars and more arms to allegedly save Ukrainian civilians. But in fact, Zelensky is playing a malicious game with Ukrainians, and the EU is thus annoyed. As a consequence, 40 countries, including the US and many EU countries, are now demanding investigators into possible war crimes committed in Ukraine. Zelensky is left with no option but to flee Ukraine. Thus, he has been on a constant hunt for a fall guy. This is probably the reason that the Ukrainian foreign minister is putting the blame on India. However, with India, these tactics don't work. Kulebo needs to call out Zelensky, not India, for this situation.